welcome, Mr. Graeme Park. It's very nice to see
Hello.
you, dear boy. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm very well. Good to see you too.
Where's the beard?
Well, with barbers being shut, I decided I couldn't wait. It was getting ridiculous.
It was getting a bit lumberjack.
It was, but I decided to just after New Year's Eve, I thought I'm going to shave it off to remind me what I used to look like 5 years ago, and I hated it, but then I got used to it, and I quite like it now, and so does my wife. So
yeah,
I did it for 5 years. I've done it. Time to go back to not having a beard.
Yeah, this is the Graeme I recognise, to be honest. So.
All right. Come out of a lockdown as a new man.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So go on. We're talking Hacienda Classics.
Classical. Hacienda Classical.
I do apologise. Yeah, Hacienda Classical.
Very important. It's a common mistake, but it's very important that it's classical because it's a show with the Manchester Camerata Orchestra.
Yeah.
And there's about almost 100 people on stage, and most of them are playing classical instruments. Yeah.
So how does it work? Because this fascinates me. You can't be playing records and then having an orchestra playing over the top of it.
Well, it's very difficult. We had to work out how to do this. Well, the first show was in 2016. February 2016 was the first show. We had the first meeting as to whether or not we could do this in August 2015.
Right.
And then we worked out we probably could do it. And we couldn't do it without Peter Hook's support because he owns the Hacienda name. And we worked out it was going to cost a lot of money. So we got the Manchester Camerata to agree. And Tim Crooks, our conductor and arranger, said, we can do this. And then it was like, right, let's do it. How are we going to do it? Oh, don't know. So we had to think about it. And I started picking... along with Mike Pickering, because Mike was involved at the start, and we picked 20 records and thought, I'll put them into a mix and see if we can recreate the mix. We didn't know how we were going to do it, and then a guy called Fletch, who's the Hacienda manager, called me in September and said, "Right, February the 16th or whatever, we're doing it at the Bridgewater Hall in Manchester." And I'm like,
panic. Jesus
Christ, that's like October, November, that's 4 months away, and Christmas and New Year are in the middle. So basically, we just put our heads together and tried to work out how to do it, and we learned a lot because over the 5 years we've developed and changed how we do it. But essentially, how it works is, I'll pick the songs for the show.
Yeah.
And put them in a mix. And it was important to me at the start that it should be a mix. It should be like a continuous mix. Because if you go clubbing, that's what DJs do.
Yeah,
they beat match. Most of them beat match. They play music continuously.
Right.
And we, better than do individual songs. And doing individual songs would be easier. Mm-hmm. It was important to me. It was like a continuous mix, and obviously it's worked because other classical shows have completely followed the same idea, right?
Yeah.
But how did you do that? Because the conductor has to keep the orchestra doing their thing, but then we've got a choir, we've got solo singers, we've got a Latin percussionist who plays with the classical orchestra, and then it's very important to me that I'm actually doing something.
Yeah.
I have it on good authority that some other classical shows, certain DJs don't do anything, right? But I do a lot. I play keyboards, I fire samples, I do play records, and I do scratching and acapellas and sound effects. If anyone looks, I've got a load of stuff around me. So how do we make that work? Well, how it works is, first of all, Tim scores and arranges. Well, no, Tim comes to me and says, "Is there any chance we could move some of these records around because of key changes or because they'll sit better with the orchestra?" And we do that. And then he'll say, "Can you lose these ones? There's absolutely nothing for the orchestra to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, but how can we lose Voodoo Ray? That's a massive Hacienda classical, a massive Hacienda tune." So what we do, Tim then works out what the orchestra can do. Mm-hmm. And then I have to work out how we can do what the orchestra can't do.
Yeah.
And so we create a backing track with the drums and bass.
Yeah.
And then everybody can listen to it and play along to it. And then I'll add a lot of the acid sounds and some of the samples and stabs live.
Yeah.
So I'm doing something. But then it's essentially bass and drums on a backing track, and everyone's got their own in-ear monitors.
Yeah.
And the great thing is everyone can choose their own mix.
Right.
So in my ears, I have the bass, the drums, and the keyboards. We have a live keyboard player.
Yeah.
And I have the choir and the singers, but I don't want to hear the orchestra. I don't want to hear the percussion. I mean, I do hear it around me when I take my monitors out,
Mm-hmm.
but essentially that's how it was. Otherwise, it would just be chaos. It would be absolute chaos on stage. But Tim, sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. My watch is talking to me. Sorry, Tim still has a role to play as a conductor because the rehearsals, he makes sure that we all know what we're doing, and he also can change what's in the score as we go through the tour. So it's very hard to create. I mean, there's a lot of pre-production that I'm involved in.
I can imagine.
And the thing is, once you have decided on the set and get it scored and arranged, you can't change it.
Yeah.
And so when the first year, 2016, after about 3 shows, because it's supposed to be a one-off.
Yeah.
After about 3 or 4 shows, I think it was in Brighton, 20 minutes into the set, I'm going, nah, this should be much better. And I don't think we should be doing some of these songs. And I think this song's too long, but it was too late then. So, But at the end of 2016, when we found out we were doing it in 2017, I managed to persuade Peter Hook that I could come up with a whole new show based on what we learned, and it was a much better show. I mean, the 2017 show, I think, was streets ahead of the 2016 show because of what we learned. But Hookie wasn't very pleased because it cost a lot of money to score and arrange and produce the backing track. Yeah. But, and then every year since then, to Hookie's dismay originally, but eventually he's quite pleased, is introducing new songs so that we never repeat the show. It's not like there's some songs that have been there every year, and there's some songs that disappear and we'll bring them back, but there's always new songs. And so this year we got new songs and some of the best songs we've done.
Cool.
Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, I don't see the point in doing the same show year after year because you want people to come and see it and go, my God, they've got new songs. Oh my God, they've brought this one back. Oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. Or even, I can't believe they've dropped this song. I think to me that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got how many years of the Hacienda? 10 years or so to look at choice-wise for music?
The Hacienda opened... next year's Hacienda's 40th birthday.
Good grief, is it that many?
Yeah, 1982, and it closed in 1997.
Right.
And in fact, next year, the plan is to come up, just to take everything we've done for the past 5 years and just get rid of it and start afresh and look at the 40 years since Hacienda opened. So that means, although since we did Hacienda Classical, it's been mainly house and club music. But from 82 to 87, 88, before house music really took off, there's loads of great tunes there that I think are worth looking at. So, but also as well, because we've been doing this since 2016, I think it'd be good to just totally rip everything up, start again and approach it from a different way. And then everyone else can go, oh, we should be doing that. And they'll start following us.
Follow my leader, absolutely.
Well, they have so far,
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about the Haas was always that it was never just house music. I know it was most famous for you and Mike, but obviously Dave Haslam with his indie nights, massive nights.
Exactly. But don't forget, long before I was a DJ at Hacienda, I didn't start first DJ until 1988. But from 82 onwards, you had Greg Wilson. He was a DJ at Hacienda, and he was playing. He's playing like the sort of stuff I used to play when I started off in Nottingham at the garage. It was like funk, electro, soul, old Motown, stack stuff, and a real mix. And in amongst all that, you had all these kind of electronic acts that were that like your ABCs and your Human Leagues and your Cabaret Voltaires. and you know, I've been listening to a lot of that recently because some of you might remember end of last May, it was almost a year since I did my 12-hour live stream on United We Stream. And I played no end of stuff like that. And I remember at the time thinking, this might work with an orchestra. So there is a rich vein of music that's not just house music.
You see,
although
that's
at the
the
end
thing.
of the day,
People like you and me, it's ingrained in our blood. We can't get away from it. I don't know about you, but I've been doing it since I was 13. And I still get excited by it, you know, by the new blooming music that comes out, by the new technology, like mixing with stems and stuff now. So, I mean, and it's not just me, it's everybody. I mean, how old were you when you were working in Selector Disc in Nottingham?
Well, I was about 19, yeah.
Yeah, and from there,
19.
Clubbing
that's just, but the great thing about working in Selector Disc was I was in charge of the singles and second-hand department, right? And to me, that was just like, I was surrounded by just all types of music.
Yeah.
I had the reps would come in and go, oh, we got the new such and such single. Oh, I'll take 20. Or someone less well known, give me 5. But then someone would then come in and go, do you want to buy these albums? And there'd be old disco albums, or there'd be old progressive rock albums, or there'd be old 60s soul albums, or old punk albums. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. and I think that's why I've got these eclectic tastes. So I really, really hope we can surprise people next year. But next year's next year. This year, it's a new show. All your favorites we've kept. We've brought some back, but we've got some new songs as well. Songs that people will go, I can't believe you've never done this. Well, there are loads. Every year, I have a list that's of about 60 songs, but you can only get between 18 and 20 in the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to be a great show. It really is.
So who do we expect to see on stage without giving all the secrets away? Who do you think is going to be the surprises in there?
Well, I'll be at the back doing my thing with the camerata in front of me. You've got the AMC Gospel Choir,
right,
which will be on the left, and behind them you've got Chris, our Latin percusbeen, who's amazing.
Is that one of Mike's old
solo singers?
There is it?
No, he's not. He's been around there that long though. He is a Manchester-based percussionist.
Yeah.
But we've got Yvonne Shelton.
Yeah.
Melanie Williams,
Ray
Hall, but we got some guest singers. We have some guest singers, but we're hoping to some of the bigger American singers who've been around for a long time. I have on good authority that we're in discussions with them about getting them to come and be part of the show. It would have to be the encore.
You're not using original singers. Does that detract, or is it the whole experience?
No, the thing is that if you look at the majority of the songs that we perform, were never performed live ever.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe some of the singers would come over from America and do the clubs in the late 80s and early 90s around the UK, but they'd be doing the PA. They'd just be singing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Live. Over back. You remember those days when you get like the DJ lineup and it would go live PA, a diva, Paris Grave from Inner City, and they would just sing along to the instrumental.
It's over a backing track, isn't it? Absolutely,
exactly. But it's a lot of the stuff we do. Well, most of the stuff we do was never performed live. And when we did the first year, we did like 3 tracks that Marshall Jefferson had produced. He said he was always in tears in the audience because he'd never heard his music played by real musicians.
Yeah.
So I don't think it matters that we don't have the original singers, but we have over the years. We have had Alison Limerick performing "Where Love Lives."
Yeah.
We've had Lisa Stansfield performing "People Hold On" with the orchestra. Yeah, that was amazing because we kept that quiet. She did it at the Royal Albert Hall.
Well, that's the theatre, isn't it? It's who you can bring in as a surprise.
Yeah, and it was the last song in the 2018 show, and I got the honour of like, please welcome our special guest Lisa Stansfield as the piano was going, and she walks on. And the place went mental. She goes, everybody's looking for a meaning. Amazing, you know? And So when we did our live streams last summer, we had CC Rogers performing Someday. We had Alternati doing Free. So the plan is to get some of these singers in the show. It's difficult with COVID though, because we don't know what the rules about international travel are, and they're always changing. But that's the plan. But I don't think it matters, because what's important about Hacienda Classical, the songs, the music speaks for itself, and it just shows you how much talent these young men and women who created this music in the late 80s and early 90s, how much talent they had. They were making music on cheap synthesizers and drum machines, and maybe they weren't seen as traditional musicians, but then when you have one of the best orchestras in the country playing along with a choir and me doing my thing in the background and a conductor, it shows you how incredible these pieces of music were.
Absolutely.
They still are.
It interests me. Obviously, the guys like us that were around in the 80s and 90s are going to love this. But do you find you get a younger element to the event because of the theatre of the whole thing?
No, there is. It's a live show. People love live shows, indoors and outdoors, because it really works outdoors. Hacienda Classical really, really works in a festival or outdoor environment. But there's a lot of kids have grown up being taken to school by their parents who play old Hacienda tapes, old Graeme Park tapes, old DJ tapes in their car from the 80s and 90s. And there's also a whole new generation of clubbers who come to Hacienda club nights, and clubbers who weren't even born when the Hacienda closed its doors in 1997, because they want to experience the original DJs. So they know the music, so they come along as well, and it's a real mix of ages. You'll see people, from teenagers to people older than you or I. Older than you? That's quite old, isn't it? No, I'm not far behind you. I'm not far behind you. But it's great. You get a real mix of people. We opened the Pyramid Stage in Glastonbury in 2017. We've done the Isle of Wight Festival twice. We've done the Royal Albert Hall in London 4 years. This year will be our 5th year at Castlefield, and it's a real mix of people, and everyone just loves it. It's proper. It's a proper show. It's entertaining. It's visually great, musically great, and there's always some surprises. I mean, the biggest surprise is when I walk down the front and sing. But don't forget, that's why
I was going to keep that secret. But
before I was a DJ, before I was a DJ. I sang in bands. I never ever wanted to be a DJ.
Really?
At no point in my life did I ever want to be a DJ. No, I wanted to be in a rock and roll band or a funk soul band and just play saxophone and sing. That's all I wanted to do. And the record shop was my ideal job because I got to play in a band and work in a record shop. I was happy as Larry. And if the late Brian Selby, who owns Let's Disc, hadn't bought the Ad Lib Club, and immediately turned it into the garage, if he hadn't said to me, I want you to DJ because I like the music, his office was on the same floor as I worked on. I like the music you play in the shop. If you're not going to, I want you to DJ at the garage. I said, well, I'm in a band. I haven't got time. Well, it's either that or you're not working in the record shop. I was 19.
Yeah.
I love my job. So I thought I'll give it a go. And you know what? I loved it. I loved the fact I didn't have to split the money I got with the rest of the band at the end of the night. The money I got for DJing was all mine.
Yeah.
And instead of doing a 45-minute set and having to rehearse and sound check, I just turned up, plugged my headphones in, and played music that I liked for 4 hours. People liked the music I was playing. I got free beer. And I thought, this is the job for me. But I didn't think that straight away. I thought, I might give this a go. I was not very popular with the band I was in at the time because we were going places. We were getting interest from A&R people in London. Mm-hmm. But I thought, no, I'm sorry, I've got to give this a go. I've got to give it a go. And I think about early 90s, maybe 6 or 7 years after I started, I remember just at one night in Hacienda going, I think this is my job now. I think I might continue doing this, And I have. I've there's not, apart from this past year with the pandemic, I've been DJing most weekends since the age of 20.
Where, Graeme? Because there's not that many clubs left. Where do you find to play these days?
Anywhere they'll have me. No, the thing is, I play big festivals. I play obscure venues. I mean, I love the variety. If I did the same gig every week, I don't think I could do it. I mean, there are some DJs. I'm not going to mention names, but there's some DJs that are happy to play the same tracks to the same on the same circuit.
You lose the enthusiasm if you do that. How can
exactly.
you do it?
So I'm happy. For example, my first gig after the 21st of June is a Friday night in Lancaster, small venue I've never played for before that no one has ever heard of. Brilliant. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, seen it
the next day, Saturday the 26th, I'm doing a private party in a marquee in somebody's back garden in Wilmslow. And then straight after that, I jump in the car down the M6 to Stoke, and I'm playing with Pete Bromley in a big, fast kind of industrial space in Stoke, right? So that's 3 gigs that are completely different. And I know for a fact I'll be playing 3 completely different sets.
Absolutely.
I don't know what they are yet, but I just know if you're doing a private party in a marquee in someone's garden in Cheshire, I know it's going to be obvious big hit after big hit.
So you're going to be playing I Will Survive and Dancing Queen, eh?
I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out.
I've stood behind you watching you play, Mr. Park. I know exactly where you bend when you need to. So.
Exactly. And then, of course, after that, I've got big festivals, small festivals, clubs people have never heard of, clubs that people have heard of, and I just love that variety of not knowing what I'm going to play until I get there, until I plug my headphones in. And of course, it depends what the DJ before me has played.
Yeah.
Because the best advice, I always get asked about DJ advice. The best advice I'd give any DJ is never plan what you're going to play, because there's so many unknowns. I've been on flights and trains with DJs, and this has been true of the past 30 years. Some of them quite well known, who they go, I've been working on my set all week. I've got a killer set. I'm going to open with this.
To what's in front of you.
Right?
You can't do that.
But what happens if the DJ before you plays some of the records you're going to play and what do you do? I'll drive to a gig, or I'll be on the train to a gig, and I'm listening to new music. Mm-hmm. I'm listening to great new tunes I've discovered, and I'm like, I really want to play this tonight. Yeah. Oh, I definitely want to play this tonight. But until you get in the club, that could go out the window, because if the DJ before you is on a completely different tip to what you thought, you've got to keep the vibe going.
Yeah.
Or if the DJ before you plays half the tunes that new tunes you wanted to play, well, you can't play them again.
Yeah.
So, but this is what I like about DJing. With Hacienda Classical, it does. With Hacienda Classical, we know exactly what we're going to do. The only unknown, and this, I love doing this, it freaks out the orchestra and the choir and the singers, because I do a cappellas and samples. After 3 or 4 shows, well, these work. I know that these work, but you know what? I'm going to try a different a cappella tonight. And when I do, people are going on the stage, are going like, "Oh my God!" because I think this sounds better. I'm going to do this instead. But the thing is, an orchestra, they read the music, so they know what they're doing. So to them, it's an unknown. Orchestras can't improvise. Without the music, there wouldn't be a show. And the choir have got their lyrics and they practice. Yeah. So I just love doing different samples or different a cappellas, or even playing different. If I have a keyboard riff, I might try a variation on it at home. I'd never try it out without trying it first. Yeah. And I go, I'm going to do this instead. And then people will look at me and go, what's he doing? But the audience don't know, do they? The audience don't know that it's different.
You've always been a mischief maker, Mr. Park. So are you doing all this?
Got to keep it fresh. Yeah.
Why haven't we seen a Hacienda record label or a Graeme Park original with the Camerata Orchestra or whatever? That must be around the corner.
Okay. Here's a couple of things to tell you. Hacienda Classical Volume 1 album.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to record it, and we did it. And on reflection, I know we could have done a better job. Mm-hmm. So Hacienda Classical 2 will come out next year.
Right.
And it'll be much, much better. And regarding, there's never been Hacienda Records. And there's something that I realized a year ago, and this is a world exclusive. Hacienda Records is launching in June.
Really?
And I can't tell you anymore. But I've been doing a lot of work, and there's some great new, and this might surprise you, some great new material coming out on Hacienda Records.
Brilliant.
And regarding Graeme Park Productions, well, I'm a part-time senior lecturer, 2 days a week. And since we started Hacienda Classical, like I said earlier, the amount of pre-production that goes into it.
Absolutely.
I'm also DJing I also DJ most weekends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a father and a husband, and I've got twin boys and a dog. And I'm also a very keen mountain biker as well.
Right.
So in between all that, where do I get the time to make music? Well, there will be stuff. There will be something coming out on Hacienda Records, but nobody knows about Hacienda Records. You really got a world exclusive here, but don't ask me any more questions about it.
Absolutely. Graeme, anything you want to add? I think that's, for me, that gives us a really good overview of what's coming in Blackpool. Anything from your side that you think you could throw in there?
I'm very much looking forward to playing in Blackpool because I've always had some great club nights in Blackpool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've played small clubs in Blackpool. I've played huge clubs like the Syndicate. Used to be an amazing spot in Blackpool. So I think to bring Hacienda Classical to the cricket ground, I think it's going to be absolutely magnificent. And I hope we get a really good, balmy August evening for that as well.
Brilliant. Graeme Park, it's been an absolute pleasure. We shall look forward to seeing you on the 29th of August, the Sunday, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your day, and then it's the Royal Philharmonic before that. You just set the tone, as they say. So, very much look forward to that. And
I can't wait.
Be nice to see you again, mate, I tell you.
So I'll see you soon.
You're an absolute star. Thank you, Graeme.